I've been to unbelievable places because of this job. It's really crazy. I've seen amazing places. Been to Rome, Hong Kong, Machu Picchu, all because of this job. And then there's other days. Like I had to go to Topeka, Kansas to do a show. We went because they bought tickets, but we got the fuck out of there right away. There was something that's pretty cool, though, that happened there, which is that my show there was protested by the Westboro Baptist Church. I don't know if you know them. Sometimes they're in the news. And if you're like, oh, really? There's a church in the news? But why? Well, sometimes they also protest dead soldiers' funerals, cool shit like that. And I was backstage, and my tour manager came in the room. He goes, hey, the Westboro Baptist Church is here. I was like, to see the show? Really? And he was like, no. So they're protesting, and they were out front with their dumb fucking signs. They're homemade signs because they're poor. They had signs made that said, Tom is a sinner. And I was like, yes. Then they had like real hateful signs too that said like God hates gays, but didn't say gay. It was another word. Your dad says it when the Cardinals lose, you know, like. All right, your uncle. Somebody says it. I took offense, not so much to the word as the implication that God hates gays. I don't think that's true. I think God has a people problem. There are too many people, and that is not gay people's fault. Because they butt fucked. Do I have to spell everything out for you guys? Like, Jesus. You can nut as hard as you want in somebody's ass over and over and over. And something will come out, but it's not a baby. Still worth taking a picture of, I would argue. Maybe give it a name. It's not going to live long. I'm not gay, but I am not above checking out a dude. I'm serious. Like, if I'm at the beach and there's some super fucking, like, just yoked dude there, I'll be like, hey, nice. Very nice. What's your protein intake like? What do you do? Cardio and lift? Of course. And then a hot chick will walk by and I'll go, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? Let me ask you guys something, man. Are they gonna keep taking our Confederate statues down or what? I'm just taking the temperature of the room. I don't know who's here, you know? Ugh. That's a weird one to start. All right. I will tell you this. I did have a great conversation with my father, and I hope if you're ever in that situation, you get it too. We had this great talk, and then he just drops this on me. He goes, you know what I've never told you? And I was like, no, what? And I was really hoping he was going to say, you know, there's a treasure buried in the backyard. It's for you. I go, what have you never told me? And he goes, I like a full bush on a lady. And I was like, what? What? He goes, your mother keeps trimming hers. I go, hey, what the fuck, man? I go, why are you telling me this? And he goes, who am I supposed to tell? I go, the Lord, you're about to meet him. And that was it. And then he said the N-word, and then he died. It was really sad. It was his last wish, all right? Yeah, Make-A-Wish was pissed. They were like, we don't do that. And I was like, well, maybe you should. I mean, if it was between saying that or meeting Tom Brady, I'd be like, fuck Tom Brady, I want to say it. The truth is this, I'm happy to be doing stand-up again and actually standing, because not long ago, I had a sports-related injury. I don't know if you know this or not. Well, if you don't know, I will try to say this with a straight face. Tom, the guy you see standing up here, I was severely injured whilst participating in a slam dunk contest. On a slightly lowered rim. Now, it was wild. If you don't know, I tore my patellar tendon right there, which, you know, whatever. Happened to Klay Thompson, happened to me. It happens to us, but I'm not Klay Thompson, so I also broke this arm. And it's all captured on video that I find very not funny, but a lot of people enjoy it. I have to tell people all the time, like, yeah, I didn't laugh a lot that night. And they're like, really? Yeah. There is one exchange that I do like to share, and it is this. Immediately after I was hurt, I was in the emergency room, and I was badly hurt. I had a shattered arm, a leg that didn't function, and they were prepping me for the operating room. And at that time, a trauma surgeon came into that room, and he looked at my x-rays, and he goes, car accident? And I got to lay there and go, dunk contest. And he goes, what was that? What did you just say? And I go, slam motherfucking dunk contest. And he goes, did a car hit you while you were dunking? I said, why don't you do your fucking job, all right? Some people don't know this. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. That's a long time. And I don't think I would have made it through it if it weren't for my dear, dear friend, Dilaudid. Yeah. I did not realize that I have been fucking around with weed all these years when narcotics is where it's at, all right? That shit is electric. And if anybody ever offers you an oxy, say, hit me 2 times, because they're amazing and nothing bad will happen to you. Nah, your life will fall apart, but it'll feel good while it's happening. The only downside, really, is that you'll never shit again. I took my first shit 8 days after I started eating those. I was scared. I called in the doctor. I was like, hey, man, I have an arm that doesn't work, a leg that doesn't work. How do I lean? How do I wipe myself? He goes, don't worry about it. One of the nurses will do it. And I was like, okay. And then a fucking male nurse came in the room. They're allowed to have the job, too. And this dude stood at the door and threw a pack of wipes. I go, what's that? He said, the doctor said you need to clean yourself. And I went, you're gonna do it. And I saw a grown professional nurse just go, oh, fuck. Like, he quit. I saw him quit his job. Isn't that crazy? Now, 5 days later, I had my second movement, and they sent in an old lady nurse, which is fine. But she talked the whole time. Do you know how terrible? You're all vulnerable. I was like, huh? And she's back there. She's like, how are we going to clean up all this stool? I'm like, I don't know. Shut up. And she goes, my. You have so much hair back here. And I'm like, yeah, I do it for my dad. You know, like. I like to picture him up in heaven looking down, you know? Look at that hair on my son, isn't that nice? And God's with him, that is nice. I picture my dad naked, you know? I picture everybody in heaven naked. I don't think you're in heaven like, what shirt should I wear today? I think people are naked. I think God's naked. I think after a while it makes sense that my father would notice that God has a fucking piece on him, you know? It's God. I think it's enormous and glorious. I think it's blue. And I think it has a golden hue around it. I think after a while my dad would go, you know, can I touch that? And God's like, of course. You are one of my children. And he goes, thanks, that was neat. And then God says, do you want to see it snow? Oh. That's what snow is. You didn't know that? It's snowing. Good. I hope I ruined snow for you. Now, it took me 6 months of pretty intense rehab, PT and OT. Shout out to all the PTs and OTs in the world out there working with people. Fantastic. Well, they worked with me so that I could move around again normally and naturally. I wish my dad was still here, you know. He died a few months ago, and I understand it's part of life, you know, it happens to everybody. And, you know, I'd never visited somebody sick in the hospital. That was a new experience for me. And it's strange, if you've never done it, you get to the hospital, and then somebody that works there goes, are you here to see? And you go, yeah. And they go, yeah, they're going to die soon. And you're like, I thought so too, that's why I came. And then they go, you can go in there and watch that now. And you're like, thanks. Personally, I feel like watching somebody die that you're not trying to kill is weird, you know? Like, it's different if you have somebody, you know, and you're like, and they go, I'm dying. You're like, I know, I want you dead. That's why I'm doing this. But that probably feels good. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a euphoric feeling that you chase forever and ever. But ask Garth Brooks. He'll tell you all about it. So. Come on. Where are the bodies, G? Please. Connect the dots. Now,